Like many young Hungarians of their generation, twins Esther and Gabor and their friend Mira are reluctant to talk about politics. But on a cold Budapest evening, they agree to open up about a defining moment in their lives. The arrival 5 years ago of thousands of foreigners, many from Syria. In 2015, a tent city sprang up almost overnight around Budapest train station. Thousands of people had crossed the then unfenced Hungarian border illegally. Most were Syrian refugees.
There is no problem with people arriving in Hungary legally. It will benefit us too, but illegal mass migration can pose a danger for us.
I think that the young people in Hungary generally have a liberal worldview. However, when it gets to immigration, they share a conservative approach.
3 years later, a survey on perceptions of refugees and migrants conducted by the Pew Research Center suggested more people in Hungary opposed diversity than supported it. The events here 5 years ago left a lasting impression on young people.
Welcome back to 60 Minutes. I've just returned from Sweden, where something happened that I never would have imagined in such a wonderful country. My crew and I were attacked. The country's image was shattered 3 years ago when riots broke out in the Stockholm suburb of Husby. There are now 55 declared no-go zones in Sweden, where police have to escort ambulances to ensure their safety. And as we found out, the temperature is similar in the suburb of Rinkeby, home to mostly Somali migrants. Within minutes of us arriving, a group of young men make it clear we're not wanted and deliberately run down our cameraman.
Whoops! Nej men vad fan!
Hey, 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 hey.
Go on! Shit! What happened?
You all right?
Your leg?
Are you all right? This clash
Yes, of course. Now, one of your film crew members was run over by a car here, and it took us 1.5 minutes. So
Yes, we're literally just out of the car and
and
aggression.
they didn't have any reason to do that, did they?
We call the police.
To be honest, we hadn't anticipated such intense aggression. Our cameraman was...
And even they fear their presence will be provocative.
I think it's better if you go in without us, because I think it would be...
very aggressive.
Yeah, if we're young. So we will stay here, and if it is...
That's fine.
You watch us.
Perfect.
Thank you. Okay, thank you.
Majority here are Muslims from East Africa, and they don't assimilate well into the Swedish cultures.
I'm very happy there.
But what happened next changed everything. The police leave, and as we prepare to go, young men masking their faces arrive.
Good, we're doing good.
You're doing good?
Yeah.
Okay, very good.
Take it easy.
Okay, you too.
And attack.
Go! Mate! Go! Don't you touch me! Okay, we're gonna drink.
Excuse me. Please.
Get out of here.
No, we are leaving, but you don't need to hurt us. There's no need to be unkind. Hey,
You can't film. No, don't do it.
The gang's attention turns when a local intervenes and drives his mobility scooter into the most violent attacker.
Move. We've been individually attacked. Soundman has been punched, the producer's been punched, you've been run over, the cameraman. We've all been assaulted and insulted. It's best we leave.
There's growing fury in Germany over assaults that took place on New Year's Eve in Cologne. Some 120 women said they were robbed, threatened and sexually molested after being surrounded by groups of young men. Meanwhile, half a dozen women in Zurich say they were assaulted after being surrounded by young men on New Year's Eve. And Finnish police say they received information that assaults were planned there as well.
Heart of London, terror on a bridge. Men wrestling to the ground, a man with a knife. He's just stabbed 5 people. Suddenly he opens his coat to show what looks like a suicide vest. 2 men retreat. One has snatched the man's knife. 3 armed police officers. This rampage happened close to an attack 2 years ago, when men also wearing fake suicide vests drove a van into crowds, stabbing dozens and killing 8. Just hours later in the Netherlands, another attack. A man stabbed several people on a shopping street in The Hague before running off. Mass stabbing in 2 cities. Europe's police on high alert.
Prime Minister Viktor Orban. Openly anti-migrant, Orban is now warning of a new crisis at Europe's borders and recently announced support for Turkey's efforts to create a safe zone in northern Syria.
Syria, as well as that area of the Middle East, is especially important for Hungary for two basic reasons. That is illegal migration and terrorism as well. Of course, we all know that Hungary is especially affected and was affected in 2015 by the wave of illegal migrants coming up to our borders.
Back at the cafe, these students are less concerned with the political strategy being employed to tackle mass migration and more worried about finding work in a society shutting its doors and building fences. Ali Mustafa, TRT World in Budapest.